Yo,
What? I love that countdown.
I jacked it up.
Oh,
I don't know how much of it we're gonna be able to see, but yeah, after
well,
our in studio warm up, why don't we give the audience a real quick glimpse into how we warm up for the podcast? Are you ready?
yeah.
Let's warm up exactly how we warm up. You ready? Here we go. One, two, three.
One, two, three. Ah, la, la, ah.
Wow, that's it. We're good to go.
Dude, but what was up with that 25-second countdown? It was awesome because they had like New Jersey pump up music, man. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it
I
was
don't know. I
awesome.
think I think I hit record right at the 10 or 9 or 8 mark, something like that. We'll see
Oh,
how
it's
it came
perfect. It
out.
was perfect.
Yeah,
It's
we'll see.
perfect. It's perfect.
Well, no, from what I can see,
Oh
it's a
man.
beautiful day in Napa Valley with that That's, if everyone doesn't know, that's Jerry's backyard, FYI.
Oh
So
God.
that
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 I gotta tell you, it was a little bit less than perfect when they were just mowing the lawn back there a second ago. So I'm glad it's over.
but that's nice. Well, I've physically been there. It's beautiful, peaceful. I mean, what a great place to live, and what a great thing to be able to do, to come back after a long day and just like kind of look at that, and just everything is okay, right?
Well, when you were just saying a minute ago, give me a few minutes because I'm setting up. I'm thinking, take all the time you want. This feels really good right now. A quiet space. It's just perfect. So thanks for
Yeah, it's
sharing
awesome.
that. And yeah, and I can't wait till you're back here, man. That's really what it's
Yeah.
for.
I think that we'll just jump into it, right? And I think at this point, everyone knows who we are, right? Have you seen
Yeah,
those?
I think I
I think
I
with
think
this time we're just gonna jump into it, bro. They know who we are. They can figure it out.
I think we believe that they know who we are. So as
Yeah, it's
long
not the
as we
streets. If
believe
they
it, it's
can't
all good.
read, then that's a problem.
Well, but
No
you're in
offense.
Miami. How's the weather in Miami right now? It's a little warm here.
It's brutal. It's brutal, brutal.
Is
Right
it?
now, it's not. It's raining right now. But
Mhm.
it's so hot. It's crazy. It's like a steam bath down here.
Yeah.
It's but now at this time of year, normally, it'll be real hot in the morning time, then it'll rain all afternoon. But still, the rain is not even a cooling rain. It's kind of like a steam. You know what I mean? It's like you're in a hot sauna.
Yeah.
But it's nice. I guess it could be it's different out parts of the world. But yeah, how about over there?
We've gotten a heat wave. Today it'll reach 100 degrees. Last week we had 105, 106, which means that some of our neighboring towns are getting up to 115, 120. So I got a I got a 4-pound dog just freaking out because he saw his frisbee out at the golf course. This is intense, man. Hey, stay. There he comes. So with that being said, yeah, now it's going to start dropping. In the next week, we're going to hit the 80s again, the low 80s, which is exactly where we want to be. This time of year, we have no humidity, so that's pretty much why we don't sweat here. So we just swell. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I sometimes prefer to sweat, man. I don't want to swell.
Here we based. That's funny.
Yeah.
Hey, did you? So I guess the recap. I mean, it's been a while since we were able to jump on, right, and record an episode. We've been doing a lot of crazy things. My oldest son got married. You came down here for that, and
How crazy is
then
that?
we did something crazy. A few days after his wedding, we took off for a month to Europe. So we
How crazy was that?
that was pretty crazy.
That was
So
pretty crazy.
yeah, so you, your wife, me, my wife, we jumped on a plane 2 days after my son's wedding, and we just took off to Europe. So it was a blessing. It was a great experience, right?
Yeah.
A lot of laughs, and I can't believe that we were there for that long and that it already passed by. It's like it's crazy, right? I mean, we were there for a long time, and
Dude.
it seems like it was like 5 minutes. No,
It was like I'm gonna go grab this guy because he's not gonna let me talk. One second,
yeah,
everybody,
you're good.
and
You're good. You're good.
I'll keep talking.
I'll sing. I'll
So
sing. I'll sing.
thank you. It wasn't like I mean when we were there, it didn't feel like it was going fast. But when you stand on the other side of it and you're looking back at it, you're like, oh my God, that was just a bleep of time. Sorry, it was all this guy. So sorry about that, people. Oh, don't do that to your dog. People are gonna get really upset. Um, so no, man, but I'll tell you the experience. That's why they say it's so important to travel, just to see kind of what led this great country of ours to be the great country, the modern great country that it is. it all started over there, and this is the new world. And there's a reason why people that are over there love coming over here, because everything is modern, newer. Um, even even our way of being is more, I think, more modern in some ways. Over there, I'm vegan. I go to these vegan restaurants, and either side of me, I'd have somebody smoking cigarettes in my face. So
Yeah.
they haven't quite evolved into, number one, smoking cigarettes is not healthy for you, but number two, smoking in a vegan restaurant while somebody's eating is not polite either. But they don't get that. So we're a lot more progressive over here, but it just helped me understand a lot more why things are the way they are, and I want to do that some more, Carlos.
It's funny because there's so many advances. We think we're the most advanced nation right on the planet, right? But then you go over there, and granted, there's some things that we have above we up on them, and there's some things they have on us. But even the most basic way how they organize their parking garages, right? Remember the underground parking, where it's so organized and high
Yeah,
tech,
yeah,
where when you pull in, there's green and red lights over every space. You know exactly where to go and park, and everything is so organized, right?
yeah.
Um, to me, their airport's phenomenal, clean. The
Yes,
service is
yes,
great. It's like,
yeah.
you know, it was like a great experience overall, right?
No, nobody at TSA had attitude. You know,
No
it was
attitude.
great. No
O-
attitude.
only when we got back here to Miami, then you get all the attitude. Is that
Oh my
crazy?
God. Oh my God. It was insane.
Actually, when we got when we
So
got back to Miami, we were on the same flight back to Miami. We flew out of where did we fly out of?
Madrid,
Madrid.
Madrid. Yeah,
Um, when we flew back, and it felt like we were landing in a third world country. That's how it always feels coming back to the airport. Not because of the people, just
yeah.
because I feel that our airport could do so much better to be a little more advanced, a little more high tech. I don't know. I'm just keeping it
And,
real.
and we're talking about Miami International Airport, where this is an airport where thousands upon thousands of flights go in and out of, is intense. And yes, it was shocking. I never understood that the way that I get it now. It's like,
Yeah, well,
wow.
hopefully it's a work in progress. So I hope there's things in the work to maybe bring it up to par a little bit, right? To give
Yeah,
that good
yeah.
impression. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I'm saying it's when you go at least to the international side, they could do a little better, and hopefully they will.
Maybe
Um,
maybe that was the difference, right? I never flown out of the international side of the Miami airport. Maybe that was
right.
the difference.
Yeah, that could be it. That could be it. But yeah, so listen, so it was a blast, and I got some. I'm thinking back, because what we did is we weren't together the entire time. Just to give some context, right? So we flew from Miami to Madrid, and we spent the first 7 days or so in the same city. We didn't stay together, but we did a lot of things together. And so that was fun, and my wife and I did some day trips out of there, and then after that, I you how did you get down to Malaga from Madrid? Did you fly?
Yeah, we flew to Malaga.
Okay, so then you got on another airplane from Madrid, and
Oh
you
no,
flew.
no, no! Pardon me. We
No,
took we took a train to Malaga.
that's
That's
right.
right.
You
We
took
took
the
a
train.
train to Malaga. Yes.
So you took the train, and then we rented a car, and we started doing all those day things and all
Because
those
you stopped.
excursions.
You were stopping somewhere. You wanted to go explore.
Oh yeah, yeah. We explored everything. So yeah. So we drove down, and at Malaga we stayed like another 7 or 8 days, whatever that was, and then we did a lot of day trips together out of there. And so that's where the adventure began. Obviously, my first experience in Malaga, when we got catfished on an Airbnb. And I'll give you the quick story on that. So we get to the Airbnb, and the pictures were beautiful. It's on the I remember it was on the ocean, beachside, and it looked gorgeous. I'm like, oh, what a slamming Airbnb, right? It's going to be a nice stay. So we show up, and I'm bringing the luggage down. It was private entrance, the whole 9 yards, and it looked a little worn, let's say. But I'm like, no big deal. It's a beach house, not a big deal. So we go in, and my wife goes, Carlos, there's people in the pool. I'm like, what? And this is a private home. So I look out through the thing, and I see the pool's full of 5 or 6 people. I'm saying full of, I'm a Cuban, so I exaggerate. So
Yeah.
it has like 5 or 6 people in the pool. I'm like, so my first thought is like, oh my God, I got scammed and I didn't rent the house. I rented a room, or they rented a room to someone else. I'm like, this is going to be a disaster. So I walked outside and I looked again. They were a little shocked. So they didn't belong there. I'm like, what are you doing here? We rented this house, whatever. He goes, oh no. So they just jumped over from the beach side apparently when the house is empty, people just jump over the beach. However, everything was so dilapidated, all the outside furniture, the overgrown. It was a horrific catfish. So long story short, we lasted there like 20 minutes. We found a local hotel, which is beautiful. We were staying at the Hilton Higueron Resort, and that
That
was
was
a
gorgeous. That was gorgeous. That was
yeah,
gorgeous.
after that experience. So we stayed there. So that was
Yeah.
our base in Malaga. And you guys stayed at another beautiful hotel. What was the name of the place you stayed at?
That was in
Not the
Ben
second one. The
Ben Haven. Ben Haven is
Ben
the name of
Haven.
that
Ben
little
Haven.
town, and
Yes.
it was on a golf resort.
Yes, it
It
was a
was very
beautiful. We had
nice.
dinner
Yeah.
there one night. It was
Yeah.
gorgeous there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so one of the things, and let me see what you remember, but one of the anecdotal things that are hilarious. If I have the picture here, I'm going to see if I can pull it up. Um, we went one of the day trips that we drove. We were driving through the mountains. We were going to the sulfur baths where Caesar, the Roman emperor, used to bathe, and apparently that's where he cured all his skin diseases. Blah blah. Remember that? So our very first 5 seconds at the sulfur bath, we get there, and you're taking off your shirt. You take off your shirt, and the water was probably this deep because it wasn't in the actual deep part. It was just like in the little creek, right, where the water was coming out. And
It
you
was a
stepped
puddle.
in there, and you ate it, and you
I
fell
ate
all
it
over yourself,
in
and other
front of
people are
in
watching.
front of the girls with the bikinis.
In front of the girls with the bikinis, in front of the families, everyone's looking at you, and I'm thinking, what they think?
Ah,
They think
ah,
either he had a seizure, or he's drunk off his ass.
stroke.
But it was neither one. He just slipped on the rock, and I'm like, oh my god! Our first second
Oh,
here, I was like, oh, you
and
okay?
the water was cold, and
Yeah.
it smelled like rotten eggs. You know, it was sulfur. But
Let me
what a
tell
fun
you.
experience that ended up being, huh?
Oh, it was great. It was great, and my wife was the
We
first
went
one
into
into
that
the thing.
cave. Yeah.
Yes, I wasn't gonna go in. She goes in. The water was cold, and then the sulfur bath. I've been near sulfur water before, so that didn't bother me. But I'm thinking, man, I'm not gonna get in here. Is the water flowing? This is disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Like you think it was gonna be murky, and nasty.
Yeah.
The water was
Yeah.
super clear, and it
That was
was
beautiful, man.
phenomenal. And I dove in, but when in Rome, right? And
Well, and it's one of
so
those things that tourists don't get to see because it's a
no,
local spot. It's not a tourist hangout.
yeah,
It
we
was
did a
very
ton of
cool.
stuff that was off the tourist map. We did some
Yeah.
typical tourist stuff as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not. I think for me the trip wasn't like all the major things like for example, all the Alcazars were beautiful throughout Spain. I mean, all the typical things that you would go and see. But even the small stuff involving the local culture, like the local culture. Remember the what's that thing we went to go see the flamenco show? Remember?
Yeah. That was
Eh,
emotional.
What was so cool is like when we were done, we just walked a few blocks and just landed
Yeah.
at a little beachfront thing in front of the water, and it was nothing fancy. It was just like a regular outdoor little places, nothing fancy. And we just sitting there and talking. It was a great night. It was nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing like over the top. It was that was one of my favorite memories of us just chilling there. And for remember back to give the cultural context in Spain and that part of the country, specifically in Spain, they will not kick us out. They will not bring you a bill. They want to bring you, hey, listen, whenever you're ready. They don't do what happens here in the United States. They give you the paper here whenever you're ready, the bill. They just sit there. Whenever you're ready, that's when and they had already closed, and they wouldn't tell us that they're closed until we were done. Wasn't that cool? What do you think?
I was thinking I was hoping you were going to reflect on that because that was what stood out the most to me is, wow, you're at a restaurant. Every other patron has left the restaurant. We're the last patron sitting on the patio outside, and we're just thinking that they're open for business. No, they're already closed, and they just not would not bring us a bill until we sort of raised our hand and said, "Okay, now we're ready." They would have stayed open all. I mean, it was already almost midnight, and they were still just waiting for us to call for the bill. I just found that so generous, man. I just thought, wow, that's just different. And
That was
the
pretty
fact
cool.
that the fact that they don't expect a tip, when you tip them, they're like so grateful, but they don't work for a tip. Their job, they take their job very seriously, and it's different than it is here. The incentives are different
It's nuts, and they seemed, at least to me, like really motivated to do their job. You know what I mean?
to
They
do their
weren't.
job well.
You
Yeah,
would think,
yeah,
oh, they don't get tips.
yeah,
It was a different
yeah,
standard. Not that it doesn't
yeah,
happen. There's good and bad everywhere you go, but it was a great
yeah,
experience. So what was
yeah.
your
I
highlight?
also,
What was your highlight of everything you did?
Oh, the highlight.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I jumped right into the highlight. I just, I just go, probably the worst part of the trip ends up being a highlight because sometimes the things that are the most challenging are the ones that you remember the most, right? Highlight was feeling sick and just really having a hard time getting my body. A combination of jet lag got me really bad, and then I picked up a flu. And I don't remember the last time I had a flu that literally zapped everything out of me. So it might have been the combination of flu and jet lag, and I had to go to the doctor to try to get some meds. But even even as a tourist, they didn't give me a bill. I kept asking, who do I pay for the services at the emergency room? Never. They just no. This is part of our system, and we just take care of people. And that just kind of boggled my mind. Oh, there is a picture. Where was that at,
Yeah.
buddy? What is that?
So this is the day that this is before we went to the sulfur bath. Before or after? It's before. It's the white town is called Figuremo. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Frigiola. It's just
Frigiola.
beautiful.
That's it. Yeah.
But it's almost embarrassing that, of course, you pulled the photo. I'm wearing the same shirt there that I'm wearing right now. How brutal
Are
is
you?
that,
I don't
man?
think anybody
I
noticed
only,
until you brought attention
I
to yourself
only,
right
I
now.
only, I only have one shirt, man. I'm sorry. No, that town, I can see me spending not 1 month, 2 or 3 months, and just living in that town. You can get a house, a 2 bedroom, 1 bath with views, with a swimming pool and the roof on the rooftop for $1,100 a month. I mean, it's just insane, and it's just the most quaint. The people are just delightful. All these little art
It's
studios.
mind blowing.
That's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. I highly recommend Frigiola, that town. And then we also love the town named Ronda. And Ronda, if you're asking me like my favorite thing, my favorite place, it was Ronda. Ronda was just boggled my mind. Paris, I think Paris is where you go not to die, to try not to die. Paris was just traffic and bicycles, motorcycles. Something's always trying to run you over in Paris. I call it organized chaos, but pretty disorganized. But yeah, that was Ronda.
Yeah,
That
there
was
you
in the
have.
town of
Yeah, that
Ronda.
was Ronda,
Yeah.
and I got a picture of us at that amazing. See if I can find it. The amazing. Remember the restaurant that we ate on the cliff
Oh,
right there on the face of the cliff? I could have stayed
on the
there
face of
all
the
day
cliff.
long.
Same here. Same here. It was
Man,
just
that was
brilliant.
crazy. Hey, so why don't you give us some context? I know what you went through, but it's good to for those three people that are watching our podcast. It's good for them to get some context on how. And again, let's bring people back to remind them that you live an SOS lifestyle, which is basically no
Oh
sugar,
God.
no oil, and no salt.
Uh-huh.
So, and I thought it was going to be a challenge for you. Not that you couldn't do it, but I'm like, and then we felt bad because I asked you for the trip. Listen, are you okay if we eat at the same place as a restaurant? Is there, you're like, no, don't worry, I'll take care of myself. And you did, but take someone through the daily journey of living that lifestyle and how you ate on this trip.
I've never eaten so much oatmeal, man. I ate so much oatmeal. I'm still eating oatmeal. I just like fell in love with oatmeal all
Yeah,
over again. But yeah, that was 80% of my food were oatmeal and fruits that I would get at the stores, and I can whip those up in my room. I don't have to heat the oatmeal because I like cold oats.
yeah.
And then the filler was vegetables anywhere that would prepare food for me. And different places had different thresholds. I mean, there were a couple of places that just blew my mind. That hotel that I stayed at in Madrid, they literally, I mean, I brought in brown rice and provided it for the chef, and the chef made me a meal that would just blow your mind with the brown rice because he didn't
Yeah,
have
but that
brown
hotel you
rice and
stayed at
stuff.
was another level.
That
That
was
hotel was
incredible.
another
Yeah,
level.
yeah, yeah. The service was.
What was the name?
I, I, I was trying to challenge them to. It was actually a Marriott, but it was called Marriott Signature or Marriott something. It's
It had another
top of.
name.
Yeah, it'll come to me in a second. But yeah, they wouldn't. My challenge was trying to get them to say no to something because I would ask for like the most obscure thing, and everything was a yes, yes, yes. They would take care. It was just fascinating. Highly recommend that hotel. If I think of the name, I'll say it. But it was just incredible. Yeah.
But give some context as to
Oh, by the
how
way,
the. Oh, look,
I
I
don't
got
eat
a here. I
meat.
found one.
I
This is right after.
Well, the issue is that I don't
You
eat
don't eat meat,
meat, and
but
everything in Spain is ham. They want to beat you over the head with a freaking side of ham.
but the mechanics of how you, I mean, you give the overview of what how you experienced it food wise, but the mechanics, what I'm trying to get at is I want you to explain how you carry your food in your pouches in your backpack. You have the sealed thing. You have 55 pounds of oatmeal on you at all times, and you're ready to eat wherever. To
Wherever I'm ready
explain
to
that.
eat. Yeah,
Explain how you leave the
yeah.
hotel and what you have on you
I'm
as
never
you go into
hungry.
the day.
Yeah, I'm never hungry. There's always a vegan protein powder that
Right.
I can add to my oatmeal and fruits, and I always have a couple of those fancy Ziploc bags that are like forever Ziploc bags,
Yeah.
and that's how. And Susan helps me with that. She's the one that found those Ziploc bags, and was that that was at the baths, right?
Yeah. So
Oh, that was
so hang on a
so good.
second. So this is,
That was right after my fall.
yes. Can you see it still?
Yeah. No, it went away.
It went away. Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to. Okay,
Yep.
how about now? Okay. So
Yep.
yeah, so this was minutes after you fell, and if you can see back there where that gentleman is behind us without the shirt, the guy
That
sitting next to the kid, you
that's where I
walked
bit
you,
it.
yes, you walked right onto that little stone there, and dude, you killed yourself right
Wow.
there.
Oh, I dinged myself, and it was like these mossy, slippery river rocks. It's like there was no catching yourself. You're going
Yeah, but
down.
it wasn't, listen, it wasn't like
Oh,
a young man's fall. In other words, it wasn't like you just fall to the ground. You start falling and you started to try to catch yourself. And you're
oh
falling.
no!
I'm like,
I thought
oh,
I
you're
would have been
done.
I would have been better to surrender because fighting it made it that much worse.
You were fighting it. That's
Oh.
the word.
I was fighting it, man. It was so like, oh God, I'm going down. And the worst part is, you're going down and you just don't know how jagged things are going to be when you go down. You're like, oh God. So I just got dinged up a little bit. But then what got me the most after that was how cold it was. I was like, holy crap. Now I'm dinged up and now I'm freezing. Oh man.
Yeah.
But now now I'm taking on the cold. I'm taking on cold plunges and cold showers in honor of that, So yeah. No, the
Look
food
here.
thing was the food.
Uh-huh.
I questioned myself at the beginning. I thought, man, this is gonna be really hard. What do I do? But no, because I was always satiated or full. It didn't affect me that you guys were having fun eating the food that you were eating, and most places gave me something, So
Yeah.
it actually worked really well.
You see this picture here?
Yeah, that's the side of the
So
cliff. That's
they give you an
Ronda.
awesome salad here. Remember, they give you salad, fruits. You ate pretty good
Oh,
here.
I ate
Yes.
really good there.
Yeah. So that was the side of the cliff there in Ronda, which is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But yeah, so it's funny because I haven't even gone through all the pictures yet since we've been back. Been wanted to sit down and go through them. I haven't had a chance, so I was just flipping through them now before we logged on, and it was just great memories. What a blessing is what it is. It's a blessing to have experienced that and
Uh,
to have been able to hang out with you guys over there. You know,
yeah,
and that was my
yeah.
first time back to Spain because I was born in Spain, but I've never been back there
Hanging
my
out,
entire life.
I'll tell you, it was meaningful. I go back and think about that more often than you probably believe. But I think about quite often how nice it was to go and share the moment of you being at the hospital that your mother, my godmother, had you in, and that was special to really be there in that moment. That was like super super meaningful to Susan
Yeah,
and me. It was awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
Red
was surreal.
Red Cross Hospital right off of Madrid there, man.
And what a
Right
beautiful
off the
place, right?
right off.
You with
What a beautiful special
Wow,
place.
with the chapel, with the whole courtyard, with the
Oh,
flowers. What a gorgeous place. So,
yeah, it was very fitting to your mother. It's like, wow, this I can see
yeah.
this. It's so good.
What I loved is to be able to walk into the chapel where she prayed, where she was in that she'd mentioned to us that she'd been
Yeah,
in the chapel. So that was like, yeah, it was long
that was
overdue.
meaningful.
And what I
Oh,
did, I
what
didn't tell
cool.
you, I don't know if I told you or not, but what I did the day we left Madrid, that we picked up the rental car to take off,
Yeah,
I had researched before getting there all my birth certificates and all the documentation to try to get the address where she lived physically, because she lived in a boarding house. There she rented a room in a boarding house when she was pregnant with me, and when I was born, and that's where she lived. And man, it was a challenge because the birth certificates back then, they're all handwritten. It's like someone just wrote it in whatever handwriting. It doesn't have to
yeah,
be legible. So I finally figured
Yeah.
out the address. So before that, I found out the address and I went by and I took a picture of it. I'll show it to you one of these days.
Oh, that's great.
It looks like it's a modern building now, but at least I got the actual place where she was at. That used to be the
That's
boarding house. So
great.
it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
That's really cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
But yeah.
Oh,
So
and
we got
to retrace those
yeah.
steps, man. Oof.
Oh, are you kidding me? Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I'll go back for sure. And when I go back, I'll probably spend a little more time, like, absorbing, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it was a great experience. And well, you guys got hit a couple times with jet lag, and then you got sick when we were in Sevilla, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you got sick, and then Susan got sick like for a day, a little bit
Yeah.
later
Yeah.
not in Malaga. Where's the third place we went to?
No, I think it was in Malaga. She was down in Ben Havis, whatever they call it, Ben Havis or
Yes,
something
because
like
we went
that.
to Sevilla after that. No,
Yes.
that's right, we did. That's right. Right. Yeah, yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Sevilla's where we went to right after we got over what we had.
yeah,
It was
yeah, yeah,
brutal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me tell you, I
Yeah.
love
That
that
was.
little hotel we stayed at. It reminds me of the Biltmore
Yeah.
here. It was it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
quaint, you know.
It was nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot the name of that town too. That was a sweet little spot that we would have never gone to if the travel agent didn't set that up. That was
yeah,
really unique little town. I got to walk through that little town and got to talk to people that have hardly ever left that little town. I mean, I'm talking about a town that's only, maybe 5,000 people, maybe 2,000 people is not a, and people have just really literally lived in this place, and they've never been to Madrid. They've never been, some of them had never even been to Malaga.
yep.
They literally just live in these little towns, and that's
Hmm.
their whole existence. A lot of them drive for Uber, which blows my mind. You get so much information from your Uber driver because some of them just work in those little towns, and that's just enough. It doesn't seem like people have an ambition like they do here. A lot of the people over there are okay with the way things are, and they just live a happy existence. Now you see a landlord just right by me. I don't know if you can hear him.
Hang on, no,
Right?
just pause it a second. It's okay. This is live, buddy. There's no that was scripted, everyone. By the way, we hired him. That guy's name is Hector, and we told him exactly right now, 4:07 at 4:07 p.m. my time, or your time, to drive behind the
Well, it's funny because
your
you're
house.
not far off. His name really is with an H. It's Hugo.
Oh, really? You know him?
Yeah, yeah. We know him.
I was
Yeah,
close.
yeah. He doesn't work for the golf course. He actually is the landscaper for our association here.
That's a lot of
Yeah.
association to
That that
maintain.
that, that the no, because there's only a strip behind my yard. The golf course was just being mowed before I got on the call. So there's different lawnmowers for different things.
I hope he's not by himself doing all that.
No. Hugo's got a crew of like 12 guys. It's crazy.
If not, I say that guy's a badass.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah, 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 yeah. So
but
are we going to talk a little real estate
we're
today?
gonna get into it now. And you know what the heading? You know what the heading of the title of today's episode is?
I saw something blow by. It wasn't positive. What is it?
Oh, it's positive.
Okay.
It's like what's in the air. The sky is falling. That's
Oh,
the sentiment
gotcha.
that I get from every out my news feed. The sky's falling, and then there's other individuals taking advantage of that sentiment and trying to sell a bunch of crazy stuff to realtors, and they're trying to jump into the whole narrative. You know what I mean? So the sky's
Yeah.
falling I thought was appropriate because it's the end of real estate. It's not the end of real estate. The sky's not falling. However, all this news and the slight pivoting that has to be done because of the lawsuit and things like that, which is nothing crazy, right? It's like it's nuts. So now I've never seen more in my feed. Let's say on my Instagram feed. Hey, how are you? Are you a real estate agent? If you don't do this or you don't get my program, you're gonna da 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 da. Da. Like
I
link,
know.
click here, buy this, do this now. So they're really fear mongering. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's funny. We have seen all that. I just yeah, I just find it interesting that some of our clients do have questions, and the questions are more of, okay, how do we incent the buyers and the buyers agents to come show my house? So
Right.
that's what's going to look different. And for those who may be watching or listening that don't know what Carlos is talking about, he's talking about the NAR National Association of Realtor lawsuit and how it's being handled in most areas around the country. And what's happening in most areas around the country, starting next month, in a couple of weeks, most MLSs, multiple listing service around the country, are not going to disclose, they're not going to allow the agents to disclose what the seller's willing to compensate a buyer's agent. So that information is going to be withheld from the realtor's eyes and the consumer. The consumer's not going to know what a seller's willing to pay for that. So what's this going to look like? So it's going to look real different. What's going to happen now is when a buyer wants to go, if you have your house on the market, a buyer wants to go see your house, there's going to have to be a broker buyer agent agreement before an agent like Carlos lets you show his house. Legally, that agent is going to have a signed representation to that client of his. So Carlos knows, number one, that he's legitimate, but also so that so that agent, that buyer's agent, has a conversation with Carlos to find out if Carlos' client, the seller, is willing to compensate or is going to compensate. So a lot hasn't changed. We're taking listings, and I'm not puffing or exaggerating. I mean, we're literally like taking 3 listings as we speak, and as of now, these sellers are all paying 6% for our services, and then we actually, most of the time, we pay out 2.5 because we provide so much service in the way of rehabbing houses, in the way of marketing. We show the sellers, how much, and explain to them how much we spend on marketing for their house, professional drone, videography, what our overhead looks like. So the seller feels like there's a lot of value in that 6%, because obviously we want to make sure that they get the highest price possible at the closing for their house, which is what drives the reviews that we get online for our services. So right now, I haven't even had a seller ask, but where it's going to change is in a couple of weeks, we're not going to be able to disclose that. And what's going to change is when somebody wants to show my listing, I have to ask for a buyer's broker agreement from that buyer's agent. And if there isn't one, more than likely that buyer is going to come directly to me to ask me about my listing. So things are going to change in a couple of weeks. And for those agents that are not prepared or are not sophisticated enough to explain that to a buyer and a seller, those are the agents that are going to struggle. For you and I, Carlos, we appreciate that, because what that's going to do is inherently going to flush out agents that are not value driven or professional at this point. So what I believe is going to happen, a lot of newer agents are going to end up having to partner with seasoned professional agents so they can even get into houses. Because if you don't have a strong value proposition, or you haven't been doing this for a long time with a track record and reviews that prove that you are who you say you are in the industry, it's going to be a real challenge for agents to kind of get traction. I don't know how you feel about that.
That's a great point. And I think that you've hit the nail on the head for many years in your market, and the add value that you bring to your clients is really mind blowing. And if those of you that are not aware, we've talked about your model before. So basically, Jerry and Susan and their real estate team, what they do is they offer to all their clients that they list their properties the ability, they loan them the ability to rehab their entire home, whatever they need to increase that market value and get that, and really tap into the full equity of wherever that equity range lies with that specific property. So Jerry and Susan, out of their own pockets, they will put up whatever it costs to cover that expense at zero interest to the homeowner, and later they'll collect that at closing. So that's an amazing value proposition. And to your point a few minutes ago, piggybacking off your point, this is the market that those type of strong value propositions are really going to dominate, in my opinion, because now it's like not everyone is created equal. Before, same advertisement, same marketing, same ad value. Oh, I like that guy has shorter hair. I like that guy has longer hair. I like her because she's nice, or whatever. Now it's a whole different thing, because people are going to stop thinking, okay, am I going to give you my listing? Why should I give you my listing? And that's a no brainer. Like us down here, we do the and we copied a little bit from your model, right? And so what we're doing down here is the same kind of a similar model. However, what we're doing is we're offering all our listings the same ability to freshen up their home, right? It's not a full rehab. So what we do is basically we go to a listing, and they may need a brand new electrical, new lighting, exterior lighting, or electrical inside the house, paint, brand new landscaping, all those important things that are really going to give the property that important appeal. And also, and some of those items are also increase how much you can sell your property for. And so we're doing those things as well, and we're offering that as well to our listings at no charge at all. We'll collect the cost at closing to facilitate the homeowner, and they don't have that initial cash outlay on top of all their current financial obligations, right? So we're doing that for all our listings, and and we got that idea spawned from your model, because I'm always trying to think, how do we evolve, or how do I better our value proposition? So aside from the same expert guidance we give our clients on a consultative model, just like you do, we also are happy to start to have begun doing that, and we find that that all our clients are really, it's really, they're taken aback, because no one, that takes a commitment. Like from you, it's not like, hey, listen, we're gonna list your property. If it sells, it sells. I mean, when you put your hand so deep into your own pocket with no guarantee that it's going to sell, because remember, real estate is a gamble, and in a sense, you have a listing agreement with an owner, and markets are we think they're predictable, but sometimes they're not predictable. So if you have a listing, if Jerry right now, if you go in and you do all these expensive, we do all these upgrades or refresh the property and do all these things that we're offering our owners, and the listing expires, what happens? The listing expired, and then so you're in a difficult situation. So we're putting you're putting our money where our mouth is, right? So yes, we're good. Yes, we're a guide you. Yes, we're the experts, and because we're that, we're willing to risk our own capital to get your property ready for the market and to garner as high as a price as we can. And for you, it's even more. And excuse my French, is a little more ballsy, because you outlay hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes with these properties. And so,
well, we're smart about it, and a lot of it comes from just so many years of experience. Number one, the owner has to have enough equity on the property to where I feel comfortable in doing that. So this all spawned from me early on in the business, seeing people and agents take listings where they were selling them, and they would sell very quickly, but they were selling very quickly at a low price because nobody did anything to the house. So what I knew was happening is these agents were going into the house. The seller would say something like, I can't afford to do any repairs. I need to sell as is. At that point, an agent that does not have resources is also prudent for them to say, well, you can sell as is, but this is going to be your price as is, and I can help you sell your home as is. That agent's not doing anything wrong, but where I was at that time, I was just bleeding for the consumer, because I would see what these homes were selling for. And I'm thinking, how much did that seller leave on the table because they may not have had the liquidity to just put a few dollars into the property? And paint is inexpensive.
sure.
But to paint a house becomes expensive. So when we figured out that we could start painting homes and doing some landscaping and washing the windows and do a little staging, all of a sudden between $5,000 and $10,000, we were getting this house quasi transformed. And then we would do, paid by us, we would professionally photograph the home, and then we would video drone the property so you can see its attributes. All of a sudden, the proof was in the pudding. We were able to see how much more we were getting these sellers for these houses. That drove us to getting the reviews that we started getting. And all of a sudden, that just became an engine, and now it's a well-oiled machine. So we've been doing this for over 15 years for sellers in the Napa Valley and neighboring areas. But now, over the last 5 or 10 years, it's become a thing. A lot of people and agents have access to resources, but what's different is that they're accessing companies that are doing this. There's a company called Revive and a few others with fancy names to this model. But because they're large companies, what they're charging is outrageous. And at the end of the day, it's so large that there's no control. So then you're seeing these paint jobs that are, not quality paint jobs. You're seeing these remodels that are not quality remodels. And then at the end of the day, they're invoicing this markup on this work that is outrageous. So our markup comes by way of the commission. That's why we charge the 6%. You know, some agents will do their job for 4%, 4.5%, 5%. We charge 6% because that's our value, our value add. Our value add, and our goal is to generate the 6%. And then by generating, how does that sound to you? The lawnmower, can you hear it?
I don't know, but Hugo's going like 50 miles an hour. We better. I didn't see a seatbelt. He's not wearing a seatbelt, buddy. Hugo's gonna
Hugo
end up
is
sitting next to you if he hits that wall behind you.
Hugo is a machine on that thing. So, yeah, so, for us, it's more about getting the return on investment for the client. If the client, I just got off the phone, literally got off the phone with the seller that just called me and said, "Hey, Jerry, we're going to go forward." And this guy is very, very frugal, to say the least. He's an investor. He owns a lot of property. He never likes to pay 6% commission. He always wants to pay 5% because he does volume business. But he says, "Jerry, I'm going to go with your model. We're going to use your I think it's $54,000 to redo his house and get it market ready." And but honestly, if he sold his property as is, it would probably be around $650,000 if he put his property on the market. We're putting $50,000, and we believe we're going to generate over $800,000 by generating. There he goes again. By generating multiple offers. So our goal and our mission is to generate photos that are worthy of a lot of people coming to the open house. So you can't make this up, man.
I love it. I love
I'm
it.
gonna have to throw money to stop. Uh, oh my God!
I think
No.
I think you need a restraining order against Hugo, buddy.
Hugo is out of control, man. He's the owner. He's the owner of that company, and he doesn't let anybody else run that lawnmower, man.
Hey,
He
do you think?
capitalizes it.
Can you make sure he's awake?
Yeah,
Can you make sure he's awake? Because I got a feeling he fell asleep, but he's just going in circles.
Hugo stroked out on the
Buddy, stay inside your home and keep your dogs indoors until Hugo stops.
he'll mow over your dog, man. No. So, anyways, no, he's gonna come again, man. He's going for broke. Oh, you can't make this up.
That's great. So basically, you were saying the 50 grand is gonna it turns
Yeah,
into what
yeah.
ROI?
So that's the right question. So you figure we're at 650 sold as is. We're at 800 plus, depending on how many offers come in. So that's $150,000 delta. That 150,000. So it basically means that $50,000 netted him $100,000. It's a no brainer. Even for a sophisticated investor, it's a no-brainer. And he doesn't even have to use his own money. And by the way, he doesn't have to manage the project. He doesn't even live in this town, so we're handling everything while he's away. And that included staging. So the house is going to be photo ready. We know we're going to get a lot of people through the open house. Our open houses are crazy. We bring live music to our open houses, and we bring in food. We bring in the neighbors. We send private invitations so the neighbors can come to the open houses. To the open house for a neighbors only open house an hour prior to the open house to the public. But what happens is the neighbors, because of the food and the music, they hang around there so long that by the time the public starts coming in, the house is already full of people, and that changes the environment and the atmosphere around the house. It's marketing 101, but it's what I like doing the most. I love marketing and getting people excited about properties.
That's the key, and I think that. Without that enthusiasm, right? It's not just enough to be an expert in what we do, right? You have to have that enthusiasm to really want to help that seller reach that goal and to see them. And it's great because you and I always get to have the bird's eye view in this business of watching someone go to a new chapter of their life, right? No matter what that chapter is, because so it's nice to be a part of that and be able to facilitate that, serve as a conduit towards that.
Carlos, my record is $1 million over the asking price. When you start talking about $1 million over the asking price, $500,000 over the asking price, or even $100,000 over the asking price, for a lot of people, you're talking about life-changing money. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's the most exciting thing I do, and I get to do, because I primarily work with sellers. I don't work with buyers. Susan handles all the buyers, and she loves working with buyers. and we divide and conquer that way, and it works really good, and it works better for the consumer because
That's
we each
great.
have our specialty.
Yep. And also, I guess to touch just high level, little touches here and there on what's happening now in the real estate industry. I saw an article last night that the real estate National Association of Realtors, their membership is down it's going down every year, since this whole thing, right? So what's going to happen? What does that mean for buyers? Listen, it means nothing. This is an industry like every other industry. There's a churn rate. Some people get a real estate license because they see a show or a class. Oh my God, I'm going to become rich. Or they're watching a reality show, and some people do it as a career. And then you have a million people in between, right? Which is perfectly fair, right? This is they're entering into the market, and some get a license just to maybe help friends and family, some whatever.
Yep.
So the point being is that there's one thing that I feel, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. That's not going to change, right? So the question that I'm getting often lately is like, how's the market? Every realtor gets that question, but they're asking, so I want to do X, I'm going to wait. I want to do Y, I'm going to wait. So here's what's going to happen. What's not going to change is that home prices across the nation are going to continue to appreciate. Now, why are they going to continue to appreciate? Because inventory is still tight in the marketplace, right? So regardless if the interest rates come down, if you wait for the interest rates to come down a little bit, there's still that pressure that the price of the homes are still going to be going high. So you're not going to be saving any money by waiting to jump into the market. And I feel that if you have a goal, you have a dream, you have something you want to achieve, tomorrow's not promised to anyone. If you can not jump head first, but if you at least talk to an expert in the real estate industry, doesn't have to be Jerry, doesn't have to be myself, someone that has comparable backgrounds and that can really guide you, so you can really make an educated decision on whether or what you should or shouldn't do. Because if you're thinking about waiting, it will cost you money in the long run if you're looking to sell and then buy somewhere else, depending what markets you're going to be jumping in back and forth, right? So that's not going to change. So if you're waiting for the interest rates to come down, they're leveling off and they're going to trickle down a little bit, but you're not going to have a reversal or market crash. That's not going to happen. There's not going to be a
Yeah,
market.
it's our job to educate people, and the bottom line is a lot of people understand what compound interest is, but most people don't understand what compound appreciation is. And compound appreciation is where people lose sight of where the true value of real estate comes in, because most people are buying a primary home, and they're not, they don't have multiple units and other variables to run data on. But what you have to understand is that I'll use my mother-in-law as an example. My mother-in-law bought her house in the Napa Valley in 1960 for $14,000. Well, that home is worth $1.1 million now. So 60 years later, how many times has that house doubled in value? That's called compound appreciation. You don't buy real estate to flip it in a minute. You buy your primary home, you buy it to hold it, and you're going to be well suited to generate a great return on investment, because you're not only going to hold it, but you're going to benefit from compound compound appreciation. So at the end of the day, the buyers that are just waiting for the variables to change, meaning that prices drop. By the way, the national average right now in real estate still going up by about 6% to 7% per year. In some areas, even higher. In some areas, a little lower, but it's still on the rise. And the buyers that don't buy today and wait for tomorrow, they're going to be hit with one or the other. They're going to be hit with higher interest rates, or they're going to be hit with higher prices. It's one or the other. How do you stop the bleeding? You stop the bleeding by buying. Now, with this, I will also say that buying is not for everybody. For some people, renting, if you're in a market like Napa Valley, where the average rent in Napa is $3,000 a month for any 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and you find a house for $1,000 a month and you can secure that for 5 to 10 years, I would encourage you to take that, keep it, and save a lot of money while you're there. So then you can just jump into the real estate market whenever that opportunity is gone. But that's called an opportunity. But if you don't have that situation on rental and you're paying $2,500 to $3,000 a month, and you haven't bought a primary house, and you have $100,000 or $50,000 or 5.5%, which no, pardon me, 3.5%, which is all it costs to get into an FHA mortgage, I would encourage you to consider putting your money somewhere to where you can benefit from compound appreciation. Remember those words, compound appreciation. It has made a lot of people very, very wealthy, and it hasn't gone wrong for anybody that I know, unless they get into properties with negative cash flows and things like that, and that's where people get into trouble. Or people start to leverage those properties and start to take money out of them and using them as a piggy bank. That's how people go wrong in real estate. If people hold steady when they buy, they do really, really well.
Yep. Absolutely. What would you right now with a little bit of not confusion, right? For us, it's not confusion, but for others, there may be the waters are a little bit murky right now. My message to any buyers in the market right now: what does all this confusion of the NAR lawsuit and the implications and what does it mean about commissions? It's really something very simple, and on its basic fundamental level is this: if you're in the market to purchase a home and you're going to work with a licensed real estate professional, that professional must sign a buyer brokerage agreement with you. And in that agreement, he's got to delineate how he represents you, what services they give you, but more importantly, that you, Mr. Buyer or Mrs. Buyer, are responsible to pay for commission. That's the difficult conversation that those realtors that have never had that conversation are must have with you, the buyer. And it's very simple. There's nothing free in this world. So the simple messaging that we give our buyers is, listen, that we've been doing this for years and years and years, is listen, this is the buyer brokerage agreement. We explain to him what it means. And basically we codify a relationship. Okay. It's a monogamous relationship between us and the client, right? Where we work for free until that day comes, if and when they close. So this is one of the few professions that people just work for free for you to make sure that something, and there's no guarantee at the end of the road. And we always tell our buyers, listen, you're responsible for 3% commission. That's what you're responsible
But
for.
hold on, Carlo. Let me jump in there real quick, if you don't mind. It does. There's only one thing the consumer has to worry about in this whole thing. There's only one thing. Everything else, I think, is just noise, because the bottom line is the client has to worry about one thing and one thing only: their due diligence on finding a real estate broker. If I'm talking to the consumer, you're the consumer, I'm looking at you right down the barrel of the camera, looking right into your eyes. I'm telling you, if you were my cousin, if you were my brother, if you were my sister, I would be saying, due diligence on who you hire. Talk to your friends who has had a great experience with their agent. When you talk to your agent, ask them if you can talk to the last 2 or 3 clients they've worked with. And so you can call and do your due diligence on what that experience was like. But the consumer needs to understand one thing and one thing only, is that experience matters. And the more experience an agent has, and the more they have in the way of relationship with other agents and in the industry, those are equity. Those are equity items that are going to benefit the buyer. So the buyer or seller, they really need to get astute as not just going through Zillow, any one of these apps that say, hit this button and an agent will show you this property, because you don't know which agent's going to be showing you that property. Anybody's going to show up, and then that person's going to try to convert you into working with them. But if that's the way you want to do it, to meet and interview agents, then more power to you. But make sure that when you sit with an agent and you interview that agent, you ask the hard questions. How many homes have you sold in the last 30 to 60 days? How many homes have you sold in the last year? How many homes have you sold around this area where I'm looking to buy? If you haven't sold a lot of homes in that area where I'm looking to buy, what are you going to do to get educated in that area? And how easy is the information accessible to you? Because there are people that, I got to tell you, there are agents that sell in my market that I've worked with that don't live in Napa, who have been amazing to work with because they do all of their homework. And they're not even from here, and they're better than some of the agents here.
But that's going to change. So that's exactly
dramatically.
The point, right? So what's going to happen is that these people, like you mentioned, that run around crazy people, they can't do that anymore. So those realtors that just if a buyer typically would go on Zillow, see a property, oh honey, we're in the market, let's see about
it's going to change, right? Because you're right. The minute these agents are saying, I need you to sign an agreement that you're going to work with me, that's going to open the door. Buyer.
Like, exactly. Yeah. What's the add value? Yeah. Why should I sign this paper with you? What do you mean? That's gonna. I lost you there. Can you hear me? I think Jerry's having some technical difficulties there. But yeah, so exactly. So that's. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So yeah, so that's going to be the differentiator, right? So I was saying, so they have to have that conversation with the buyers now. They have to, as when is it going to effect? In August, whatever it is. So they have to have the conversation. All those realtors that are running around with buyers without even showing them a piece of paper or talking to them about the agreement or how things work, or consult them, or even give them their add value. Now they're forced to give them their add value because people are going to think twice before signing a piece of paper. So to your point, so you have to find an expert. And then my message to the sellers is this: this does not change the fact that you will still need to cooperate with commission. Notice that there's a distinction here. Okay, all the sellers in the world that are listening right now, this new change does not mean anything, because let me finish the conversation with the buyer. We tell them you're responsible for 3%. However, we will deduct whatever cooperating commission we get from the seller. And just FYI, we will, even if now with the new law, even if we don't see an offering commission, we will tell the buyer we're going to negotiate commission first if you're just in the home, and we'll negotiate commission first, get a commission agreement, do whatever we have to do to make sure that our buyer, it's equitable for them as well. So sellers, it's not a free ride for sellers thinking that, oh, you're never going to pay commission. That's misinformation from this lawsuit and from these attorneys. You're going to have to pay because
people are going to tack it to the price. People are going to tack that 3% to the price.
That's it. And think about this: if you're selling your home and you're still making a great return on investment, and your numbers are where they have to run, and I'm your listing agent, or Jerry's your listing agent or brokerage, and we come up to you and say, listen, we have a potential buyer, and this buyer wants you to contribute with 3% commission, or they're going to go on to another property. Then you got to make a decision, right? Are you going to burn in the hand, or are you going to just wait and see for the guy that's going to come around that wants to pay his own commission? So it's going to go either way, but no one's off on a free ride here. You know what I mean? Is the whole
you want to know what silences the commission discussion? Getting a seller, two things: getting a seller more than they expect to get on their house by generating multiple offers. That's one thing that silences the commission, because most of the time our commission is paid grossly covered by what we get them for on the net sheet. So by knowing how to negotiate upward is one thing, and that happens with pricing strategy and a lot of experience and a lot of confidence. But the other thing from a buyer's side, what silences the commission discussion with the buyer's side is, am I able to get you the right house for the right price because I'm able to negotiate in your behalf in the same fashion that I negotiate for my sellers? If a buyer or seller finds the right person that can accomplish that for them, commissions are paid by the process and by the net effect of what's been done in the process, right? If a buyer can save, $100,000 on $1 million house that they're buying, are they going to really care if they're paying a $30,000 commission or not if you were able to save them $100,000? They're going to be happy to pay you the $30,000. The same on the listing side. It all comes down to the work that we're able to do for the consumer. And our consumer happens to be the buyer that's buying the property or the seller that's selling the property. We don't get involved anymore in dual agency. I know you're the same over there, but we really don't. If a buyer calls us on one of our listings, we refer that out to another agent that works well with us. But at the same time, I think everybody really should have their own representation.
Yep. No, 100%. It's funny you say that. Yeah. Most of our listings lately have been double-sided, but for the same client, right? Almost all of our listings have been we're selling the home and we're helping the homeowners find another property, whether it be locally or elsewhere in Florida, right? Yeah, and it's funny because all this commission talk, like you said, it's hilarious because 90% of our consultations, whether it be with a homeowner for a listing or whether it be a buyer, the topic of commission is 1/16 of the conversation, because the rest of it is what we're doing, what the add value is, how we work, yada yada yada, and then, oh, by the way, this is how much we charge, and then that's like, it's not even a point of contention. In other words, when agents or any business, you come in and start talking about commission, they say, oh, listen, hello, nice to meet you. Hey, listen, I'm with such just real estate company. Then listen, our commission is this much, and we have to. I'm like, what? No, this is what we can offer you, and they make a decision, so we don't harp on, oh, this is going to cost you money. Listen, everything in life costs money. Breathing costs money. Going to the corner costs money. Getting in your car costs money. There's nothing free. So as long as you understand there's nothing in life is free, then you focus on whatever you're in the market for, whether it be real estate, whether it be restaurants, whether it be a vacation. Then what level of experience do you want? Are you going to be okay with? And does that correlate with your goals? And that's all there is to it.
Speaking of costing money, my architect cost money, and he just rang the doorbell. So on that note, maybe we can wrap up. And today's discussion I thought was wonderful. And I think there's going to be a lot more.
I don't think it's your architect. I think it's Hugo. Hugo's probably tired from driving in circles behind you.
He might be knocking on my door to say, hey, what's one of the plants is not getting enough water. No, actually, I'm excited. Hideo's coming over to look at our bathroom. We're going to gut it, and we're gonna have it totally transformed. But I decided to just not take on the drawing of that because I want it to be very special for Susan. So here we
That's
go.
awesome. You're a good hubby. You're a good hubby.
I'm
Well, listen,
trying.
I'm glad we're back on the wagon, back in the
We're
saddle.
back on. We're back on the saddle, man.
So I think it worked out great. And for all of you that have any real estate needs in Napa, just look at the bottom of your screen there. You can reach out to Jerry on Instagram at homestead_RE or call him at 707-249-0518. And again, all the real estate questions that you ever propose to either one of us are 100% free. So if you're in the market in Florida, you just reach out to us at @Zold Realty Group on Instagram, Facebook, everywhere. You'll find us. 305-800-ZOLD 9653. And again, if you have a question, it's totally on the house. It's free. We'd rather give you some free information, and that's it.
And we're Primo Real Estate Podcast.
Unleashed. You almost got me there. I forgot when you put it at me. I'm like, oh,
pretty good.
I'm up.
That's pretty good.
All right. Well, see you on the next one. Love you, bro. Talk to you soon.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.
See you.